I'm glad that I get to speak about it so that you feel like you're not alone in a situation, and that doesn't have to be your end story. And again, I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. You may see certain things that I post that you may think that's all I do. That's not my liquor right there, by the way. I do feel like there are certain things in life that we're all going to experience, or majority of us are going to experience. And if it is something that I've been through, then I'm glad that I get to speak about it. When you get in that crab in a barrel mentality where it's sort of like you're just making all these excuses as to why you can't do something, it's just kind of sad. You needed a sign or something to just be a better version of yourself. If you don't know me, if I look tired, I am, because I recorded for the past hour and it did not record. So here we are. If you see me looking over here, it's because I kind of left notes for myself so I kind of don't drift off. But if you know me, you know me. If you don't, my name is Jackie. I've kind of wanted to create a platform where there were conversations that are needed. I've been wanting to do it for a while. I've been watching podcasts for about 4 or 5 years now, and it has truly helped me out tremendously with my mindset and just how I view things, how I view life, how I view people, how I view myself. And I kind of wanted to introduce something new to my space or my people to kind of pretty much just engage in certain conversations. Eventually, I do plan on having conversations with other people on this platform, but I feel like I need to cultivate just in an environment where people get to understand me. Since I'm such a private person, I feel like now is the time to kind of just be open and not be private, and just so you guys can kind of understand who I am, where I come from. And as I express more and open up more, you'll pretty much understand why I decided to do this. Although you may not get it 100%, I've just been through a lot, and I feel like there's certain things that people could learn from me that I've learned from life and experiences and things like that. And again, aside from like watching podcasts, there isn't anyone that I can really speak to on a day-to-day basis that is kind of going through things that I'm going through. What the podcast really did for me was kind of just open up my mind to certain things and experiences and conversations, and that's pretty much what I want to do here. It just comes a point in time where you're kind of tired of speaking about things that you want to do and it's not really being accomplished. I'm the type of person that if I want to do something, like, I'm going to figure out a way to do it. And it may not be the best experience, it may not be the best journey, but at least if, I have somebody and we're both agreeing to go to a beauty school or something, and when we speak, we connect, we're on good energy, we both sound like we're really about to do this, and then we meet up again a month later and I'm just like, yeah, I found the school, I found out how much it is, I found out where it's at, and then you're just like looking at me like,
yeah, I really want to do it, but like not right now.
and it's just like, not only did you say you wanted to do this for yourself, you can't really want something for someone. But just being more intentional about things that you want to do and taking the steps to do that. Like, I just want to be around people like that. And even if I'm not around those type of people, at least I can have the conversation to help people be more intentional about the things that they want to do. Just try and become a better person overall. Like, I feel like I've went through so many battles and so many trials and tribulations. And no, I'm not perfect at all. I am very far from perfect, but because of the experiences that I went to, I can hold certain conversations with people, or just, motivate people in a way where I know what it's like to be depressed. I know what it's like to have anxiety. I know what it's like to not want to do something. I know what it's like to feel like you physically can't move, that you don't want to move, that you really want to do something, but you just don't know how to start or where to start or who to talk to. So I was just tired of like being around atmospheres where I felt like I didn't belong. I just felt like it was probably the the thing to do at that time, but I was always the type of person that kind of felt like alone in a group full of people, and it just never felt like the right atmosphere for me. I always wanted to be in a better situation, and if there's somebody that doesn't see that for you, or you don't even see it for yourself, it's like you're going to find yourself keep going in that same situation over and over again. There are certain conversations that we can have with our children or our siblings and our parents, and most of us don't know how to have those type of conversations. We don't even know what to say. We don't know how we feel, and we don't know how to take those feelings, have a conversation. My purpose for this is just to pretty much like turn that light bulb on. And again, I'm not perfect. I don't know everything, but I do feel there are certain things in life that we're all going to experience, or majority of us are going to experience. And if it is something that I've been through, then I'm glad that I get to speak about it so that you feel like you're not alone in a situation, and that doesn't have to be your end story, or that doesn't have to be your excuse as to why you haven't or you can't do certain things in life. I used to just cry and ask myself questions and just kind of feel bad for myself and feel like I didn't know how to get out of a situation without having the certain people or mentor or parent or whoever to tell me like how and what to do in order to get out of a situation. I didn't feel like there was anybody in a better position as far as like where I wanted to be in life for me to say, oh wow, so and so is doing that. Of course now there's social media, but even with social media, it's a little different when you know the person. So yeah, there's a lot of podcasts out that are coming from like celebrities or just people that you probably don't know, but I do feel like it is a little different when you hear from someone that you do know, that you like didn't know their story, and you may see certain things that I post that you may think that's all I do. I feel like a lot of people probably have an image of me in their head that is like not who I am. So I kind of just wanted to speak up because there is a purpose behind this. I finally come to terms with not caring about what people think about what I plan on doing or what I'm doing now. It's like a weird transition. I feel like coming from high school, graduating high school, and like being a true adult. Like it's hard disassociating yourself from who you used to be in high school versus like being an adult. Some people feel like they have to tie to that basketball figure, or they have to tie to that class clown, or they have to tie to that whatever the negative connotation or characteristic trait it is, just to make it seem as if like, oh, nothing has changed. But it's a problem if nothing has changed for the better. And also coming from New York, I feel like it's very hard to like better yourself in public or just in front of other people, because it's like,
how dare you try and be a different version of yourself?
how dare you try to better yourself? Like, I feel like New Yorkers has a way of making fun of you for wanting to do something that's outside what's around you. And it's like almost better for you to just disappear and then pop up doing that thing. Yeah. But regardless, people are going to talk. I'm not judging anybody. I can't say I don't want anybody to judge me because it's probably going to happen. My story, it involves finding that confidence to figure out like who I am after high school, and especially coming from like my high school experience overall. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't feel like I had like the proper guidance or anything. So I feel like there's a lot of things that are distracting us from what it is that we really want to do. There's a beauty in balance. We do come from a space that is used to abusing certain things. Kind of takes away from also the learning process and just like the actual journey, where I feel like some people are trying to escape. We really just need to push through it, basically. If I could just be that person for them, or for somebody to just feel like you're not alone. I feel like the Mr. and Mrs. Me Too movement back then, it was just, oh, I don't want to be doing what that person is doing. and I'm not going to fess up to like how I'm feeling because I don't want them to know. But now is the time where like people are going through certain experiences now, and you kind of do need to say like, oh yeah, I've been through that. Oh yeah, me too. I felt that way too. We sometimes distract ourselves and get sidetracked by people or things that have nothing to do with like what we want to do, and then before you know it, it's been years, and it's easier said than done, but literally all you have to do is like make that first step. Once you have it in your mind that you want to do it, you can literally do it. You also just need to surround yourself with the right people. If you want to do something and you're just surrounded by people that are just stuck in the past or just doing things that you don't want to do, like you're only hurting yourself. Just do it. Like if you say you're going to do something, just do it. If you don't know me, I am from Long Island, New York. I went to Malvern High School, and I am the last of 5 kids. I was born in a Jamaican household. Both of my parents are born and raised in Jamaica. I had cousins that are around my age that we went to school with, and then my older sister and brother had cousins around their age that they went to school with. So pretty much a big family, and I think that is cool and important to have, because not only did I have a twin sister, but I had cousins that I went to school with. So it kind of made the experience a little better for me. And I would say that overall I had a cool childhood experience. It was a very happy, very fun-filled childhood, I would say, from the outside looking in. And we had like people dressed up as a character. Shouts out to either my parents or my siblings that had something to do with that, because I remember it, and because of that, I feel like when I have my children, God's willing, that I want to create an experience for them, because I definitely remember it, and I want them to be like, oh yeah, my parents threw me the best parties and things like that, because that's how I'm feeling now. Even though there were moments of fun, there were moments where I was like battling certain things in silence, and nobody really knew because we were always around family. I was like very quiet, but I never really wanted to be around people like that. I think it was cool that, again, we had cousins around my age, but I just never felt like I could relate to anybody in a sense. I always felt like even though I would be around people or my cousins, it's like it was me, and then there were just things going on around me. Like I never felt like I could enjoy my childhood wholeheartedly. Like it just felt like and again, this was in my entire childhood. I want to say this was between the ages of, well, it's a good amount. Probably 10 and 16, but that's when I would just be extremely quiet. And I think that's why it's important to just like check in on your children or your siblings and things like that, because they can be suffering through things and emotions that they probably don't know how to express, or they don't know what to say, or they don't know that they can even say it, because growing up in a Caribbean household, you couldn't really say much. Like there wasn't no you expressing yourself. There wasn't really any emotions. Like there wasn't really anything you could talk about. It was like you were being told what to do, and you didn't really have an opinion. You didn't really get to like say much about like how you feel and what you thought. I was extremely reserved, extremely shy. I hated taking pictures. Like I just was really to myself, and thank God I had a twin, because I feel like it kind of balanced it out for the most part. But if I was by myself, it definitely would have been like a weird experience. Like I feel like I have my moments where I'm weird too, and I'm very quiet, and I just always been like that. So you can think me doing this is like very different for me. But my parents, they weren't ghetto. Or was that ghetto? Like, I'm not about to speak patois, but it would just be very loud. Like, abnormally loud, and just very, like, tough. And of course, if you're from a Caribbean household, you know. If not, just there's like so many videos out now of people imitating like what we went through, which was like very traumatizing. But and nothing was like living through that experience, which I feel like made us like super tough. I didn't really feel comfortable with anybody besides my older brother. He just kind of stood up for me in a way because I'm a twin and we're fraternal. So my sister was lighter skinned, and there were just like a lot of things that went on where people would kind of like have favoritism, and he would always like stick up for me and be like, oh no, Jacqueline's still, beautiful. Like whatever it was, he would always like stick up for me to make sure that they treated us equally. And aside from like the skin color, it would be more so like because I was like the more quiet, reserved one and she wasn't, it was like people kind of gravitated more towards her. He kind of saw what was going on and spoke up about it. He was always like the cool brother. I always wanted to see what he was driving because he always had like a cool car, or like what he was wearing or what he was doing, what he was up to. And I just always wanted to be around him because I would just be excited, and it was like I can be comfortable around certain people, but I actually felt excited around him. And it's funny because it probably didn't show because I internalized everything, but I'm just thinking about how I felt on the inside. Like it was just a difference. I felt to my older sister because even though my brother would give us the experience of doing things within New York, she definitely took us outside of New York. She lived in Delaware right after high school. You may think like, oh, Delaware isn't that big of a deal, but it was to me, not necessarily because it was Delaware, but because I would leave the house. She moved to Georgia, and when she moved to Georgia, it was a wrap. Like, that's where I wanted to go all the time. And we were like 13 or 14. We would take the Greyhound. Like, it would be regular road trips, Greyhound. As I got older, it was flights, but shouts out to her because it just kind of gave me a reason for me wanting to leave New York, or just knowing that I had that option. So I definitely think it's important for you, like as a parent or an older sibling, to like do what you can to kind of just be a better you and create the environment for other younger children or your child to see that whatever it is possible. Like, yeah, you can, if they're going through something mentally, yes, you can escape whatever it is that you're going through. I just always wanted to get out and do things with my brother. Although he lived in New York, it just felt good having him like pull up and let me see like what car he was driving, what he was wearing, what music he was listening to, where he would go, what he like. It's just I was kind of just fascinated, and that was like I guess the only person that I could look up to. I just think that certain conversations are needed and certain experiences are needed in order to let your children or whoever it is around you know that certain things are possible outside of like what their current situation is. It may be a little different now actually because of social media, but I feel like again, there's nothing like someone going through something or doing something that you want to do. Literally all I cared about was playing Call of Duty, listening to new music, downloading illegal music. That's actually the only way that I felt like I could relate with anybody was like through music. But emotions and things like that, there wasn't anybody that I could speak to about that. In high school, I did not care about, I hated school. I didn't care about my grades. I didn't care about anything. The only thing that kind of kept me pushing was because, I had my best friend and I had my cousins and things like that. But outside of that, I really hated school. I didn't like age 15 and 16. Yeah, that was like the Call of Duty ages and stuff like that. But I did not like school. I hated school. I hated school. I was depressed. I had anxiety. I didn't really care to. I hated school. I just didn't like it. I didn't like going. I just didn't like the fact that you had to like cram all this information in just to take a test. I love learning, but I hate school. Why? Yeah, I like school. But The only thing that I liked about school is me walking to school and listening to new music. Besides that, yeah, I didn't like school. I hated school. And again, I didn't know then, but I was depressed and I had bad anxiety. I just didn't know that there was anybody that knew how I felt, especially in my circle, I would say. It's so funny because I don't know if anybody like knows that, of course, and like what I was going through. I didn't tell anybody. There would just be times where I just wouldn't go, and it wasn't because like I wasn't tired. I was literally depressed. I just didn't want to get up. And you know, Jamaicans got two jobs. My parents, they were only worried about if you woke up for school and then maybe if you did your homework, but it wasn't a good experience for me emotionally. I would just be very jealous of people that knew what they wanted to do when they graduated and like what college they wanted to go to, because my mind wouldn't allow me to see past my four walls. I couldn't see anything past high school because again, it's not like something that I saw. It's not like I saw people graduating in my family and going to a college and becoming whatever it was. Like I didn't visually see that, so it wasn't like I had anything tangible. It's a little different now because of social media. You don't necessarily have to know anybody to feel inspired to like do anything, but it is always different and a better feeling when you can relate to somebody that you actually know. That's like unmatched. I just remember everybody's planning to go to prom, and I remember being so excited. I figured out like who. Let's go back. When I was in school, I really was not like boy crazy or anything like that. I didn't care about like having a boyfriend. I probably only had like one crush maybe, but I didn't care about none of that. I just cared about hanging out with my brother and where he was flying out to. But it wasn't like I really cared about boys. Like, I didn't think that anybody was cooler than my brother. I don't know if he wants me to say his name, but the person I was going to go to prom with. I remember I got called to the principal's office, and was that Mr. Brown? Like, I knew it was serious because he was like, "Oh, close the door, have a seat. Do you know why I brought you here?" And I don't think that I knew, or maybe I did, but I think I was being oblivious to it. But he was basically telling me how he's like, forget prom. We're not even thinking about prom. We're thinking about you graduating. And he was like, prom is out the picture. We need to figure out what we need you to do in order for you to graduate. Part of me was like low key tight because I'm just like, bruh, why would you wait until now? Although it wasn't their fault, but why would you wait until prom season to mention that I'm on the verge of like not graduating? I think that got me tight overall because it's like embarrassing to like figure out who you're going to prom with just to say, oh yeah, I'm not going to prom. I can't go to prom. And I get it. I guess it's not as bad because it wasn't like it was because of my grades. Well, technically yes, because I missed so many days of school, but it's like, dang, I probably didn't have to go through that experience as far as like agreeing to go to prom with somebody and then saying like, oh yeah, by the way, I can't go. Long story short, I did not graduate on time because I missed so many days of school between me just like either being super late or just like not going. And I remember he showed me like this sheet of paper that showed, it's actually not funny, but it showed like how many days I was out. I don't know if I'm making this up. I don't want to exaggerate it by saying like 50 something days, but it was a lot of days that I missed. And I don't remember having that conversation with my parents, but it's kind of crazy now that you think about it. So here's the thing. I had to tell my twin sister that I wouldn't be graduating and walking with her. And I remember telling her that and she cried. I felt bad because I was sort of like mad at myself for not taking certain things into consideration. Like it never dawned on me that missing days of school would mean that you're not able to graduate on time. I just figured that, you know, as long as I like pass my test and show up, when I show up, I thought everything was all good. No, because if I knew it had anything to do with me graduating on time, I think I would have pushed myself or at least said something about why it was hard for me to like go to school. Yeah, I remember telling her and she cried and I just felt bad like dang, like I let her down. sort of like that was like the wake up call for me. And again, it's like you're technically being held back. I think I was just so messed up in my mind that I didn't think it was that bad in a sense. It was bad, but it wasn't that bad because my best friend was a year younger than me. So I still got to be with like someone that I know and people that I knew. And I don't even remember if I told anybody. Of course I had to tell somebody, but I don't recall like those specific conversations. I never heard bad things about me from other people. Like I never heard people like talking about me or talking about the situation. I'm pretty sure that people were, but it just never got back to me. So it was sort of like I don't know. I never really cared that much about what people thought, which is sort of like a good thing. But when I say that I don't care what people think, it's just more so, it's different when you're sharing parts of your life versus sharing your entire life like I am in a broadcasted way that I'm doing intentionally, of course. To a certain extent, yeah, I didn't care about what people thought because I also didn't surround myself around that many people. So I only cared about what the people that were around me. It was pretty much like I was on a mission to do what I had to do. And I didn't even go to the graduation like to see my sister walk or anything like that. I don't even know what that experience was like. And I just remember thinking like, dang, you're missing out on this graduation experience. You're never going to experience that again. But I think for me to prove it to myself. So graduation was in June. I just had to stay there until January to like make up classes and things like that. So once I graduated in January, I literally enrolled in Nassau like that same month. And my goal was, although I didn't know what I wanted to do in school, I just knew that I had to go to school or go to college to complete something in order to obtain some type of, not even necessarily a degree. I didn't care about that because I just got my associates in liberal arts, but it was just more so going to a graduation, and I just wanted to experience what that was like. And there's probably people that didn't even know that I graduated high school. Of course, there's nothing to like advertise, but times like that, I love being private because again, it was like I just stuck my head down and just kind of just went through it. And I didn't care what anybody thought because I knew that I was going to still go to college afterwards. That experience alone is another story for another day. That was a journey. But I went to Nassau Community College, by the way, graduated, and not only did I graduate, but I was the only person in my household to graduate college. So even though I didn't know what I wanted to do, I still told myself like, you're going to go to school, you're going to push through and graduate. And it meant a lot. Like that's just a summary, but to say the least, I went through a whole miscarriage through that experience. And that was the least of what I experienced. So I'm just very glad. And again, I'll probably tell that story another time. But I'm just glad that I got to complete that. I put my head down. I said that I was going to do this even though I hated school. And I was able to complete it. And that was like the first moment of like satisfaction as far as like setting goals for myself, as far as saying that I'm gonna do something even though I didn't really want to do it, and just completing it. These are examples of things that children around you or your child might see you pushing through and going through these experiences that probably you may not think that they notice, but these are stories that they're able to tell. Like, you know, my mom was the first person in her family to graduate college, or seeing you push through in a tough situation. They're going to remember certain things, and I just feel like times like that is just like extremely important. That whole high school situation was humbling. I don't want to say embarrassing, but it was just humbling because it's like I really thought that I was all good and I just really didn't take it into consideration. And the fact that he was like, "Oh yeah,
You think he's on the prom? That's the last of your worries.
I still got to experience prom with my boyfriend at the time." I went to Elmont High School prom. That is a story in itself too, but I'm glad that I got that experience as well. So again, I didn't get to experience my prom, but I did experience a prom. And I didn't get to experience my high school graduation, but I did experience a college graduation. So I feel like there's always been some type of pivoting where I wanted to experience things and I just found a way to do it. And I don't think that there's necessarily anything in life that I said that I wanted to do that like I can't do. Now it's just more so financial goals and traveling, which are things that can always happen. But things that, I can't go back to, like high school, prom, I can't even say college because you can always go back to college, but things like that were important to me then, and I'm just glad that I like got that out the way. Now I see that whole journey was for a reason, for me to kind of just explain to other people and just like, again, my nieces and nephews, I may not be able to have like certain conversations with them in person, but even if they were to like just go back and watch this video, uh, trying not to cry. It's very important to me because there was something recently and I kind of just been praying about whether or not this was something that I should do. But recently I had a conversation with my twin and she was telling me how one of my nieces was experiencing the same emotions that I did when I was around her age. And the thing about it is that I didn't have anybody to tell that to when I was her age. And the fact that she's able to have that conversation with her mom just made me like super emotional. And it was pretty much confirmation for me. It was just a simple fact that she was going through the same two emotions, or she sometimes goes through the same two emotions that I was going through. And again, it just made me super emotional because it's just like I didn't have anybody to tell that to when I was her age. So I'm just glad to see that my niece gets to have that conversation with her mom, and then just to, eventually have a conversation and let her know, like, hey, I've been through the same thing when I was your age. And, if you ever want to talk to anybody, you could talk to me. And that goes for any of like my nieces or nephews or any of my friends or anybody that may be experiencing like those feelings of like, low self-worth or anxiety, depression, not confident, feeling like you're stuck or that you can't leave a certain situation. Trust me, I've been through a lot. So I just wanted to pretty much create this platform to have those type of conversations and for me to be able to help people by explaining my journey. There was a portion of my life where I wanted someone to like come and save me and just give me the step-by-step pamphlet of like what to do, where to go, or give me advice. Someone that was close to me that had a mentor. And I feel like it's super popular when you're in a sport where they kind of look out for their team and they kind of speak positivity into them. It's different when you're actually part of a team and part of a group, because it's like you're not by yourself. You guys share similar interests and you have people looking out for you. You might have a coach that say, hey, you got to do better with your grades, or if you want to go to college, this is what you have to do, or if you want to be on this team, this is what you have to do. Straighten up. And that person might not have the best parents or the supporting parents, but at least they have like the coach or the person in their neighborhood that recognizes that they're part of a sport or something. But I was not part of anything. I'm lying. Fun fact, I was definitely on the bowling team in high school, which is very random. Oh, high school and college. But that don't matter because I was still going through my stuff. I actually got kicked off the bowling team because I had too many like missing classes. But yeah. The only thing that pretty much saved me mentally, I was going through a bad breakup and I started to read. So you know how you read like those self-help books, and I started reading a lot. And it just helped me kind of understand my emotions. It helped me understand that there's a future. And because I didn't really have that person to speak to, reading really did it for me because I'm a very visual person. So like while I'll be reading, I'll visualize like that person speaking to me or just them speaking to somebody. I'll just visualize how that conversation went and just compare it to how my life is now and what I want to do and how I'm feeling currently and what I want in the future. And it just made me feel like I climbed out of this hole. Of course, I still went through, like, it wasn't like that was the end of my depression, but that was definitely the start of me changing my life. Amongst other things, that was pretty much a start of my journey and just me gaining confidence in like who I am and the things that I've experienced, and just knowing that I'm not alone. There's people that don't feel happy. Like, I felt like I was by myself because I didn't feel happy, or I didn't feel joy. I had moments of it, but I feel like overall I just was very sad. But again, reading just helped me like understand a lot of things about myself and a lot of things about life in general. And that was just the beginning of my journey.